Hello everyone, my name is Dave Partner and welcome to your fourth tutorial on Angular 2. And in this tutorial we'll look at understanding what a class and a decorator does. Alright, and just open your Angular 2 project. This is mine, it's open. And then you open the SRC folder. Then inside the SRC folder you open the app folder. Now we'll be looking at components, and then we'll see what decorators do. Let me just explain what a component is to you. Let's assume that this is your web page. Let's just say that this is your web page, your website, and this is a component. In Angular 2, everything is a component. Everything. So you have your website, you have your top navigation bar. This top navigation bar will be a component, and then you have your right navigation menu, that will be a component too. Then you have the body content, of course, that will be a component too. Alright, everything is a component. So a component is basically a section, a unit section of your web page or your application. For each component, generally by default you should have 3 files. For instance, let's just say we named this top guy the nav component. So you have the nav component.ts, that is the TypeScript file. Instead of just JavaScript, we have the TypeScript file that determines the logic. This is where you write the code that will go to database and fetch the list of menus and their drop downs, and then you have to display it. Actually, the HTML that will display this will be in nav components. Let's just say nav components component.html. Alright, and then finally the CSS that will handle this will be in another third file that we can call nav component.css, depending on if you're using a normal CSS or you're using Sass or less, depending. So about you just basically have these files making up this component. Then you have 3 files making up this one, you have 3 files making up this one. Alright, and then you have one general CSS that makes up the whole. This CSS kind of controls everything in case you don't want to do a custom CSS for each of the components. And then this first one is a component on its own. It's called app component. App component. So of course it has 3 files: app component.ts, .css, .html. So the first, your root component, is called the app component. Now you understand how these things work. Let's look at the code. So when we created our Angular 2 project using the Angular command line, it created a default component for us, which is the app component, the root component of our application. And as you can see, the app component has 3 files. You have app component.ts, which is where we put the logic, the JavaScript. We write the TypeScript and the JavaScript to do all the manipulation for us. Then we display it on app component.html. Then if we needed to style anything particularly for that component, this is where we write the style. Okay, so we need to display this on our browser, so we'll see what it is by default. So you go to your command line, of course, navigate to the root folder. This is my command line, and oops, I would have just opened the new command prompt for you. Okay, so basically go to your command line, navigate to the root component. This is what I did. Went to where my folder is and opened the command line on it and wrote ng-serve. So we created a server and spun up a server, and it's running. So you go to your browser and paste the URL of your server, and then you see that this app works. Okay, let's see what actually happened before this guy showed up. So get back to the code, and what we have is let's start from the app component.ts. First of all, we import a component class from Angular core at the top of the page. Remember, it was a Angular command line that this thing came by default, so you don't need to type it out here. Then we have a decorator. In Angular 2, a decorator basically provides more information about the class. So this is the main class for this file. As you can see, it's named after this file, app.component.ts, and the class is named after the file. Now the decorator helps us to put metadata for the file, so helps us to give more information about what will happen in this class. The first information we have is the app root, which is called the selector. The selector basically says which HTML component should I insert my HTML, which section of the page should I insert my HTML. So when we look back at here, so this section of the page deserves a name. So we're saying which section of the page do we insert the code, this HTML we're looking at here. So let's get back to our folder structure. When we installed our folder, what we have is this set of files. Then we have index.html. This is where your app starts. Alright, so when we get to index.html, you see it's a normal regular HTML file, but somewhere here in the body we have an element we call app root. Alright, this app root, look at it here. If we get back to our app folder and get to component.ts, we see app root. So this app root is making reference to this HTML. So we're basically saying whenever our Angular app starts up, you should check what selector that is here. Then it goes to the classes and looks for the class that has the selector. So it goes to here and sees that the selector, this is a selector for this class. Then it works with this class. All right. Okay, so the next one is the template URL. Which template, that is, which HTML template are we going to use to display this information? As you can see, if you come here in the index, and you will see that there is the only thing we have here is loading. So while it's loading, it goes to app.component.ts and fetches whatever is in this HTML. And if we go to this HTML, app.component.html, which is in the same folder level, app.component.html, we will see that it has a HTML tag, and it's making reference to something called title, a variable called title. So let's get back to app.component.ts and see that that title is declared inside this class to be AppWorks. Okay, so let's get back to our browser and see that is AppWorks. So this is how it goes. Your app first starts, it goes to index.html and sees this selector. Then it comes to here, finds this selector, then it pulls up this HTML and makes use of whatever you've defined here to display the HTML. Okay, so just to be sure, let's edit the HTML and say this is the title. And because we are running our server on ng-serve, our server will restart by itself. As you can see, it's already running by itself. So if we go to our browser, in a short while we'll see this reload, and when it reloads, we're supposed to see the changes. As you can see, loading, then we will see the changes that we implemented shortly. As you can see, this works. This is the title because we edited what we have here. Alright, so when we get back to our app components, let's create another variable and say body, and say the quick brown fox jumps over a lazy dog. That is the body. So we have to go and go to this component.html and add it. So we can say just create a p tag. This is normal HTML, and then we paste, we have to actually bind it. So this is two-way binding in Angular 2. We'll get to it somewhere further down the tutorial. So we're making reference to this variable we have inside this class. So remember that this works only for this class. Alright, this export means we can use this class elsewhere. So now we've edited the HTML. Let's get back and our server is supposed to restart by itself. As you can see, it's already restarting, and we're supposed to see the changes here. So there it is. We have it right here. Okay, so that is a brief explanation of what components and decorators work are. So what if we wanted to write some CSS for custom CSS for this component? We can just say the h1 tag is color. Let's just change the color of the text to red. And then, since inside here we indicated that the CSS file we're making use of is this guy, so it should just work by default. So it's refreshing. By the time it finishes, it should change the color. So the last thing I wanted to show you is that instead of using URL, what if we used just templates, and then we could write the HTML here directly, we could write the CSS here directly. I'll just show you in a moment. And before I show you, let's just see. As you can see, it's now red in color because we edited the content of the CSS. So I want to delete this and just use normal template. So use the backtick. Remember I taught you in the past tutorial, the backtick, then you put comma because these guys are kind of properties. So the backtick will now start writing HTML. Let's just put a list on ordered list, and it ends here on ordered list. Then we come back and say, and on ordered list we have a list, and we have another list, li. So let's paste it out correctly, so that it will be easy to read. And we have our first one on that list, and we have our second one. I can say the first one is Dave, the second one is partner, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to show you that you can write raw HTML here if you can just use backticks. I've saved it, and it should refresh and remove whatever we have here and replace it with the two lists we created. So there we have it. As you can see, it's Dave partner. So you can just write raw HTML there, or you can link to a HTML page file, and then you write all the HTML you need in the world. Alright, I hope this tutorial just put you through the basic use of the component. As we use it more and more, you will understand it better and better. Alright, see you in the next tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel on YouTube and my website. Thank you. See you in the next tutorial.